Welcome to Rule of Thirds, a program on the Screen Refresh Network where our goal every episode is to select a different topic and create a memorable list of our choices. For this episode, I am your host, Dean, and I'm joined by the rest of the Screen Refresh crew, Nick, Tim, and David.
Hello there.
Hello there.
And
Goodbye
David.
here?
The appropriate
Bye there.
response would have been General Kenobi, but that worked too.
Today we are discussing our hands-down favorite video game moments of all time. No
Wait.
take-backsies.
Wait, hands down?
Hands
Hands
down.
down.
There was
I
subtext
didn't-
in that.
I didn't prep for the absolute, rule of law. This is now your favorite gaming moment. No
Yep.
takebacks.
No take-backs.
Yep. It's top. It's not memorable. It's the top. It's the number one.
Oh God.
Yep. Find the hill to die on because that's where we're
I
going.
gotta think a little harder, I think. I don't know.
The
We're all
Macho Man
amending-
of gaming moments, only the cream of the crop.
We're all amending our wills after this to have our headstones say our favorite gaming moments.
I was going with
I
one
wouldn't
that was
mind.
I was going with one that was fun. I didn't think it was best ever. Oh no.
So, as far as the gaming moments, are we saying like objectively the coolest gaming moments? Or are we saying things that might not be important in the grand scheme of the game, but were cool moments for us personally in our gaming life?
I took
I
it as
think that's
personal.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did both.
It can be that.
I
It
covered
can
all
be,
my
it can
bases.
be both. I had a really tough. This is one I did actually have trouble with, and I feel like what I ended up on was just like, I don't want to say I gave up, but I was just like, oh yeah, that I'll talk about that. That'll work.
Face swapping
I kinda
enabled in
felt-
NHL 2025.
Oh damn it! I was gonna say when it's like when Dean got that hat trick.
The first use of big head mode.
I found a couple, but yeah, like I don't know. This one was hard for me to single things out. Like we'll get into it when I
It's
mean I
tough
can just
when
start,
it's,
I guess, but
it's tougher too when it's not topical because everything on my list I haven't
Do you-
played in a long time. So
Yeah.
it's not in the forefront of my thoughts.
do you know which one you're going with, Nick? Like as I'm saying this one.
You're saying that one?
No,
Alright.
no. Was it have you
Oh.
chosen what you're gonna
I-
say?
I really don't know. I was gonna go by the vibes because I have like an obvious like this is a moment in the game versus how I felt. So I don't
I
know.
have the same.
Mm.
Let's just say them all.
I want to start with my runner-up because I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of a dumb moment in this game.
I mean, if it's memorable to you, that's to you.
Well, it was, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that being cool, and I went back and watched it. I'm like, that's kind of
Give
That
us
was
your
really-
dumb moment, and you can still go into the normal rotation later.
the Metal Gear Solid, the original for PlayStation. There's a moment where you've just defeated the Hind D, the helicopter, and you go and get on the elevator, and it makes this beeping noise, and you're like, huh? Like it's over the weight limit,
It's
and
not
you're
dumb.
chatting with Otacon. I mean, on rewatch, it was like
It's like one of my
there's a lot-
Japanese
I-
animes.
I had a lot of logic issues with this, but you're chatting with Otacon. He's like, "Hey, Snake, I forgot to tell you. You know how I have 5 prototype stealth camouflage?" I was like, "Well, I'm using one, so that leaves 4, and like they were all taken." And also the elevator's weird because somebody was like holding it, and when I got on it, the weight limit thing went off, but it would take 5 people to set the weight limit off. And Otacon immediately is like, "Oh no, Snake, the guys who stole my camo were on that elevator with you." And it's like, surprise! And there's like, they start attacking you. And I do remember that being like, oh shit, like in a scared but exciting kind of way for me when I played that the first time.
I came in at
But-
2, so I had no idea that's where that. I thought it was like, Otacon, I'm dummy thick.
Clap my ass cheeks keeps alerting the guards.
Yeah, Kojima's a weird guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I remember like being like kind of scared, but in a thriller kind of like way. Not I'm like afraid to play the game
I mean, you could have just
because
said
all
Metal
of a
Gear.
sudden there's yeah.
You could have just said Metal Gear 1 or Metal Gear Solid
Yes,
1.
I really. That's kind of like what I wanted to say. Is like the entire game was. I mean, I've probably talked about the game too much on the show already, but
No, not
I just remember
enough.
having that like draining feeling after I played it. Like it's like when you read a book and you go through this emotional journey, and like, oh, nobody else went through this. Now I'm like empty. I'm like my soul is empty.
I mean, also, I
But
think it's just the fact that it's like you experience something that you can never experience for the first time again.
yeah, that's
Mm.
definitely that's on my high on my list of like I wish I could do that again for the first time.
I mean, that game had a lot
that
of
was a-
firsts in general because it had a lot of like gameplay mechanics that I've never even thought of, or they don't have anything like that. And like you can wear the cardboard box and have a dog pee on it, and that essentially, like at first you think like, oh, this is a joke, but the dog's marking its scent on the cardboard box, and that makes you immune from getting attacked by the dogs later on. Like that's something you can do
Oh,
in the game. Like
shit.
I never would have thought of like even doing that. I had to be told like, hey, if this happens, it'll work. Or like the you can use the cardboard boxes again to travel around the facility. I didn't know that. They don't tell you these things in the game. There's so many other like little hidden Easter eggs and just mechanic quirks that no other game even comes close, at least at that time anyway.
I think you guys could do a screen refresh game series and just play through the entirety of Metal Gear Solid 1. David and I will just watch and comment while you guys pass controllers off.
I mean, I would just finding the
Digitally.
time for that one. That one is there's
It
a lot
spans
to it.
2 discs. Or was it more than 2? I don't remember.
was
Man,
2.
that means it has
It's
to
at
be
least
at
2.
least 3 gig.
There's 2 after the sniper wolf fights when you get alerted by Otacon.
Every
that you
boss
gotta-
fight, it's so emotional and like devastating in its own way.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great. All right, my
Cool.
real pick. Somebody else can go. Maybe I'll talk about it later.
I'll continue it with the hallway sequence from Metal Gear Solid 4
Oh.
because I actually
Good
did pick that
sequence.
one, and that's I guess my stupid one because at least it's
Is it stupid?
I didn't think so, but I mean
I don't
I
think
don't
it's
know. It's
stupid.
kind of like I didn't think it's stupid, but at least compared to like my other choice, it was less impactful. But just
That's
the
a pretty good moment, though.
yeah, like the culmination of just the past 4, like the 3 games plus this one, and you know, I really enjoyed Snake's or Solid Snake's story. I didn't care for Big Boss that much, and being able to return to him and then seeing him old and that final journey going
Yes.
through, and then just like the importance of reaching that end of that hallway, and you're having to spam the X button to make him cross it, and he's getting barraged by the microwave blasts from, you know, just like that's the trap of the hallway. You see his suit getting all messed up while all of his friends are dying, and because it's like a multi-camera thing that you're seeing as you're spamming X to crawl forward kind of thing, and you really feel how he's really burdened and stressed through that entire like 30-foot walk, and by the last like 5 feet you're spamming the hell out of that button in order to cross the finish line, and it's really tough. And I feel it's so dumb the way that they did it, because it's just you move forward and then you fall down and then you have to hit X to, you know, crawl, and then you have to keep spamming it harder and harder for it to continue going. And I feel even though it's just spamming a button, I feel the storytelling behind that was very well done.
The idea does
I
make
think-
your thumb feel as though you're in the radiation chamber with Snake. That's how
It really
that's
it
how-
really does. It
It's
really
the same
does.
feeling. It's being radiated.
Yeah.
I
really
think the
does.
scene works so well because it's the culmination of playing all the previous games. I mean,
Mhm.
that sequence and the sequence of the fight with Revolver or Liquid
Liquid
up on
Ocelot.
the
Yeah.
yeah. When it's crossing between all the different music and all the fist fighting and all of this. 4 overall, I mean, 4 is essentially it's an interactive movie at some
I mean,
points.
yeah.
But still it's a hell of an interactive movie. Get to see my boy Raiden.
He got a comeback.
He-
That was
he
one
has
hell of
an
a
awesome-
comeback.
That's an awesome fucking comeback.
I'm glad because
Were you
everyone.
talking about Revengeance?
No, just he went from being like the bitch that he was in 2, and
I
then
liked him in 2.
and then going from like that like whiny version to the badass samurai robot.
The Cyberpunk 2077 version of himself.
Yeah,
So
boy got a glow up.
Raiden had a weird arc. I did not mind him in 2 at all.
I
Yeah, I
didn't
liked
either.
him in 2.
I didn't
I
mind
really
him.
didn't.
I thought he was fine. I like Snake more, but I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if Kojima reacted to the negative press and fandom around him, so then tried to make him into the coolest like weeaboo samurai robot. And then gives him a spin-off game where
That was pretty fun.
it was pretty fun. Like it was like Platinum did it. Like so it's a great like action
Like,
game.
Controlling the
like-
sword with the stick to be able to actually slice through things in
Oh,
the
yeah.
direction is cool.
But like the storyline just goes so far off the rails.
Yeah.
But sword, David.
But cool robot guy bleeds white stuff and steals
I
people's
didn't know
spinal
there was
cords.
a storyline in Revengeance.
Yeah, he has to fight the super buff immortal governor at the end who wants to become president of the United States. It's a weird ass game.
It doesn't seem that outrageous these days.
It's true.
So yeah, good game. Metal Gear Solid 4 and 2 and all of them. I will say I have a couple. The reason why I said personal versus actual sequence from the game is because my personal one would be World of Warcraft, Stranglethorn Vale. Years ago, when back during Vanilla, we all played together, not Dean, but we all played together on WoW.
And that's not
we were
just a
these-
slight against me. It's just the truth.
Yeah, to rephrase, Dean was not with us. Not he played, just not him.
Yeah, he wasn't part of our lives back during Vanilla WoW. So we ended up having to get to the boat down in what was a Booty Bay,
Yep.
and we didn't have mounts, and we were under-leveled and all this stuff. So we were literally in these PvP zones on our server, running through Stranglethorn Vale like the hobbits, and like we would see a player in the distance and it would be like we would hop off the road and we would hide under an overpass, and then we would climb back and we were like hiding through bushes, and it was this actual like walking foot trail all the way down that felt much longer than it probably actually was, but that in and of itself was such a wild adventure that now it's just, oh, you log on and you get a mount that flies, and you also get a level 60 unlock, and you don't even need to traverse things anymore. It's just you hit H and then you jump to whatever it is you need. Like back during that, it really did feel like an achievement for us.
The world was a
that I'll
lot
always remember.
bigger back then. The world
Yep.
was a lot bigger.
It was true. It was harder to get around, so everything just felt big.
Yeah.
I remember taking the flight path from there up, and it took like what 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't a quick flight. I forget where I was going. It was like north past Stormwind, but still, that was a long flight.
When the train between Ironforge and Stormwind was this big thing of like, oh my god, we can take a train?
And not get killed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's free.
So that's what our taxes in Stormwind go towards. Public transportation. But yeah, I have another moment that's more game based that I'll bring up, but that has always been a moment that's been locked in my head for me, of just a moment of gaming with friends. But the actual moment in a game that didn't have any outside impact.
You're not going to
Was
let David go?
Oh, go ahead, David. I had runners up. This isn't a runners up. It was literally just, it was a tied for first situation. So go ahead, David.
Okay. So mine is actually a relatively recent game. When I was like thinking about it, I had trouble coming up with older stuff. I might have a runners up. But this one, it's a great moment. It's incredibly sad, and I almost missed it. And this
Heavy
is
Rain?
the the end of John Marston in Red Dead Redemption. Now, if you're not familiar with the ending of this, you're playing as John Marston, the outlaw who's turned good, trying to redeem himself, and at the end of the game, you're finally you pay your dues, and you inherit a farm, and you go with your son and your wife, and you're at the farm, and like the whole game's done. You've beaten it, and like you're going around the farm doing chores. And when I was playing this game, I was like, oh cool, I'm at the end. I'm at the like, oh hey, you beat it, now it's open world, go do what you want, but also you can like hang around your farm. So I was like, cool, I'm done. I don't really need to keep playing this. So I put it down. And then like a couple days later, I was looking at like my achievements, and I noticed like the beating the game one, like the completing it wasn't checked off. And I'm like, oh, that's really weird. I'm like, okay, like let me go back in, maybe there's like something else. And then I go in, and it's just like, oh, go feed the horses, go water the fields, go do the grain. And then all of a sudden this sequence happens where you step outside your house, and there's like 20 gunmen just waiting there for you. And John Marston calls to his wife and son, and they're like, yo, go get out of here. And you just get gunned down on your front lawn because apparently the government wasn't going to let you go and live peacefully. And John Marston just like gets full on like RoboCopped on his front lawn of his house.
Right in the dick.
Credoed.
Why did they keep shooting him in the dick?
And I was just like, I was blown away. One, the death of the hero is always sad, but also like, I thought the game was done. And then I came back just to experience the horrible ending that was coming.
A much different experience if you just never check that achievement.
Yeah, I was just
You're just like, oh,
cool.
wow. Huh.
The second one's even more
Happy
of a
ending.
rug pull from under you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I was just like, oh man.
clever how they do it.
Yeah, but I loved it. It was a very fitting like Western ending. Like, but yeah, boy, that got me. I was like, oh,
I
need
need
such
to
a good
quit
game.
playing it. Yeah, the
I
second one at
loved
least.
Yeah.
the first one so much.
Dean, I know you're a big fan of that series.
Red Dead, yeah. I played through the first one just once at the time it came out, and it's funny. I know that happens, but I don't remember like all the emotional buildup of it. But with the sequel, they kind of, Arthur's not gunned down, but it kind of takes on the same
Gut check. Or gut punch.
gut check, but also like structure where it's like then you wrap up the game, and this time you're wrapping it up as John, and later on John dies, and you wrap it up as his son, as John's son. And that's all I have to say about it. My wife Laura, who's appeared on the show several times, I was talking to her about this topic, and this was one of her moments that she brought up from the original Red Dead.
How long until we have Red Dead 3?
Never.
12 years.
Because online didn't take off, and now they're like, well, we're not going to spend money on that anymore.
Well, it's tough when you have like, you could make rocket-powered motorcycles and recreate the Batmobile and actual tanks in GTA, but it's not like you can strap a black powder trash can to a horse and ignite it.
Can't
like
you though?
Flintlock style.
Can't you?
Probably could.
I remember
I'm not criticizing it.
one of my favorite things that I went back to Red Dead for is when they did the zombie expansion.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That was a really fun expansion.
It was so good they released it on its own, didn't they?
Oh,
I
don't
think
know.
you're
I don't
right.
remember.
Honestly, I think you're right.
I've only played 2, and I keep meaning to actually play it too, but it's such a open world games are hard for me because unless you're fully sucked in, it's gonna be a long time to beat it.
Well,
I mean, the first one is open world ish.
Ish.
Yeah.
because the second one I wanted to play, and I played it, and like a couple times I started into it for like several hours. But yeah, like it's all the open world stuff of certain things start getting repetitive that I just start losing track of, and I don't really want to do this anymore. And then I move on to whatever the next thing is. But I've been meaning to go back and finish Red Dead 2 at some point because I know it's always spoken so highly of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Red Dead 1 didn't
Spoilers.
Red Dead 1 didn't have like a ton of side quests, really. It was more just like a big area that you would have to like go to different places, so it's like big scenery shifts. It wasn't like this huge, expansive, like 100-hour gameplay thing. It was like, no, it's like, you know, like a 20-hour game. Like, you know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's not bad. Versus like the 300 that you can get out of
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, they're just that it is it is open world in the fact that like how you travel and traverse it, but not in like the exploration and side quests.
I'm going back to play Red Dead Revolver.
That's the first one, isn't
I
it?
remember that one.
That one was
It's like completely unrelated. It's its own thing.
yeah. Wasn't the guy's name Red Dead, and that's why they called it that?
I think yeah, or Red or yeah.
Yeah. Man, now I want to play Red Dead again.
Let's do it. Let's play online.
I also want to play frickin'. Do you guys remember the game Mercenaries? It was also done by Rockstar.
Yeah.
First one was so good. Oh,
Oh shit! Is that a Rockstar game I haven't played? I thought I played them all.
I think it's Rockstar. It's got to be. It feels like them.
It's like Far Cry meets.
What was that? PlayStation 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember playing the second one, Mercenaries 2.
Yeah, I remember World in Flames because that came out like when I was leaving high school.
Oh, sorry, it's not Pandemic Studio and LucasArts. The
That's
first one,
right.
the first one was so good, unbelievably good. It basically, if you just take GTA, but you're you're a mercenary, and you have access to like military vehicles.
I only played the second one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not like the second one. But the first one was great, and the world is entirely destructible. Every single building,
Yeah, that's what I remember.
everything.
And at the time,
it
that was
so
not
good.
that was not normal, or that was not normal. That wasn't common. So the fact they were able to pull that off was awesome.
Yeah, Mercenaries, the first one, is incredible. Such a good game.
Kind of related to that. What I was gonna say originally, as it's like gameplay shifts, like that. I think I couldn't nail it down. I didn't spend enough time researching. I don't research things for the show. I just
It's always off the cuff. He doesn't watch the movies either. Whenever he hosts, it's just purely from memory.
This is what I remember.
I just guess what happened.
Yes.
but I think it was PlayStation 2 Spider-Man 2 where they really upped the city exploration and the web slinging.
Yeah.
I think it was that game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember being wowed by that and just being like, just swinging around. Oh my God, they finally made a game where it's like, okay,
You
you're
actually
swinging around the
truly-
city. It feels like it.
And you needed a building nearby. It wasn't just some like
Yeah. And
And
you
that
could
wa-
land on the ground and then go flying into the top of the building again instead of having it separated, by levels.
Yep.
And that was that swinging mechanic was because of a singular developer on the team decided he wanted to implement that on his
Wow.
own time. He built that in.
Shit, I hope he got compensated.
I'm
Nope.
sure he didn't.
He was laid off after it was released.
Buried in a shallow grave
And you-
outside.
Yeah, I was gonna use took 2 to the back of the head and then a shell.
Thanks for the millions.
Yay, capitalism.
So, does
Anyway.
anybody have any runners up other than that?
Dean, you said you had another one?
No, that was it. That was what I was gonna say originally too.
I'll just throw my runners up really quickly. It's just one. The Would You Kindly twist from BioShock
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
the big one.
was a really cool one. When that was revealed, it was, for me, it was very much like a sixth sense. Sixth. Well, I have trouble with that word.
My tongue suddenly is too big.
It reminded me of the twist from that Bruce Willis movie where you had a number of senses.
And it
Where,
felt like the whole
suddenly-
game went upside down afterward too, because it's
Oh yeah, such a big twist to the game, and it's such a cool. And then you have that really cool sequence afterwards with like the main antagonist, as you killed him very violently in first person.
brutal.
Super cool moment. Great game. Yeah.
I have nightmares to that still because I can still remember him trying to say a man chooses a slave obeys, and you're
Oh,
just
when he, like,
beating the
didn't
shit
have-
out of him. Yeah,
He didn't have teeth or a jaw anymore, and he's still
No.
trying to talk. Yeah.
that's horrifying.
It's
My-
always interesting thinking back to playing the games that kicked off like huge franchises. Of like at the time, BioShock wasn't like the franchise BioShock. It was just, hey, I might try out this new thing that I saw. Like I went into a Best Buy and just randomly saw it and was like, yeah, I think I'll buy it. I'll check this game out. And then
I
just
remember you got it.
hooked on it.
In one of our annual get-togethers, you brought it over and you were playing it, and
Mhm.
little did we know that would become one of the greatest games of all time.
I mean, I remember seeing the trailer on TV where they had the whole sequence where it's in first person and you have the character, he looks down at his arm and the bees are coming out of
Mhm.
it. And then he gets like the drill to the torso from the Big Daddy. Like I was hooked immediately. I was
That's
like,
one of
holy
the few
shit, what is
games
this?
I've ever played too, where after I beat it, I played it again, but on the hardest difficulty, and
Yeah.
enjoyed it more because it forced you to use your plasmids in a different way to survive. So things that were not useful on the normal difficulty were like the bees one was stupid. It didn't work well, and it didn't do a lot of damage, but on the impossible difficulty, that distracted the enemies long enough for you to get behind cover. Like it really mattered when it normally wouldn't. So that was definitely a top 10 game for me.
I started to play BioShock, and my stupid sense of being afraid of not. I mean, I don't know if there's really truly horrific elements in the game, but
Yeah, there's a
It was
decent
just- it
number,
was-
I'd
yeah,
say.
a couple of
there
jump
are
scares.
okay. But it was just like, oh, it's too dark, and I know there's enemies like coming at me through the darkness, and I'm just like, fuck, I can't keep playing this. It was like pretty early on too, because I was disappointed because I'm like, I want to see what all the hubbub's about, and then, you know what? I'll probably
Welcome
just
to
end up
Rapture.
watching.
Ooh.
No, thank you.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking
Just
about
like
like
Grandpa Simpson meme leaving the,
Yeah.
the club.
there's like those different like sequences, like you have the whole like plastic surgeon and how he's like trying to make people perfect by disfiguring them, and yeah, there's some gruesome stuff in there.
It's
Yeah.
the being in control part that I can't handle. So what I should do is just watch a game, just watch
Just-
somebody else play it. I can handle that.
I mean, I used to, I haven't in a while, but I used to love watching Let's Plays.
You could do that
As long as I
a-
find somebody who doesn't talk and just plays the game, I'll just watch that.
I will mute my mic if you're willing to watch me play it.
Let's do it.
We'll
All
just
right.
start doing no commentary Let's Plays. But
I
the
don't know if there's a
stream
market
is
for
just
that.
Dean reacting to things
Ah!
out
People
of his
think
control.
Dean's playing the game, but that's the hook. He's not the one playing it. He's just reacting to what's going on. Why is he so good at the game, but he's so surprised at every turn?
Wait, he's covering his eyes with both hands, but he's still moving.
He's just that good. My alternate choice was more of a nostalgic one, and having played video games since basically the inception, originally games did not have a vibrating controller, and as dumb as that idea is, I mean, the first time it was ever done was with Star Fox 64. The N64 controller had like an adaptive piece on the back of the controller where you could plug in a memory card. And at the time, that's really what it was meant for. But then they released Star Fox 64, and it said it came with a rumble pack where you plug it into the
Hell
back of the
yeah.
N64, and it caused it to vibrate when you play. And that changed the entire game industry.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time, taking it out of the box, I remember it too, taking it out of the box, throwing the batteries in that thing, like slapping the rumble pack into the back of the controller like it was a magazine for a gun, and then queuing up the game, and then you feeling the vibrate on the controller after the first boss fight, and it's just so powerful. And I feel I have an N64, and I feel the vibrating on that is way more than on like the PlayStation and Xbox controllers now.
Well, I also remember when I got my N64 for Christmas when I was a kid, we got the Star Fox bundle, and if you got the Star Fox bundle, it came with the Rumble Pack. Kind of like when the Donkey Kong 64 game came out, it came with a memory,
the
memory extension thing.
Yeah.
And it's a huge difference. And then even as a kid, I knew like I can't wait for this to be the standard. Same thing with like when the Wavebird came out for the GameCube, where it was the first wireless controller that was first party, not third. It's like, oh, they know how to do this and do this correctly, and it just worked, and you didn't have to mess with it or give it to the friend that comes over because you don't have enough controllers. You got to give them the crappy one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like when the Power Glove came out for the SNES, had that same feeling.
That's why I love using my Power Glove to this day.
I mean, Nintendo tries things, doesn't always hit, but the ones that do.
Yeah, that Rumble Pack feature. Like
they're always trying something.
So amazing.
I want them to just try graphics too, along with their next innovation.
Thank you.
Nah, they're perfectly happy with their PS3 graphics.
More like PS2 graphics.
We're not saying be better than just come up.
So many people are saying, "Oh, the Switch 2 is going to be so great." No, it's not.
No, it'll be fine. It'll have all the first-party Nintendo games, and you can't play them anywhere else. So
all you're gonna fucking play on it is Zelda.
And whatever the new Pokemon is.
Yeah, and that still will run like shit.
Does the Switch even have third-party games? Or is it just all Nintendo games?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, but after having the Switch and then getting the Switch Pro or the OLED one, which is slightly better, but it's no. Like I played Inscription on PC. The load times compared to that on the PC versus the Switch, I really thought that the Switch died on me because it's just staring at a black screen for like 30-40 seconds straight while the game loads the main menu. It's just, or like Graveyard Keeper, which is like a Stardew Valley clone. Played the hell of it on PC. I didn't even know there were load times on this on the game until I played it on the Switch. It was that bad, and I have zero expectation for the next one that comes out. I wish they would kind of realize that they're losing third-party support because of it, but
100%.
I bought a Steam Deck and I haven't picked up my Switch since.
Yeah, I really, after playing yours, that's going to be my Christmas or birthday / Christmas present for myself if I don't get one.
The one thing that they still have is their first-party games. Like you can't play them.
They're hostages.
Like you have to buy, like if you want to play the new Zelda or the new Pokemon, you have to buy it.
Yeah, and
Mario, blink twice.
It's the only console I would
Mamma
buy.
mia!
It killed me.
I don't really do consoles anymore, but if I was to buy one, it would be Nintendo because I can't play the games.
It killed me when the last Pokemon game came out because it had issues. You would think that their AAA mainline Pokemon game of all things would run well, but no, they had like frame rate drops. There were glitches throughout the whole intro.
Plus, they had to like drop down graphics and things and cut corners because of the limitations of the hardware. So you have this rendering in the distance that like, I forgot what it was. It was like a Spearow or a Fearow or something flying in the background. And I'm just watching it. It's like at a certain distance, all of a sudden it just becomes like a flip book of like a still image just bouncing around in the distance because it's no longer rendering the full flight.
Like, come on, man. This is, you guys, it's insulting.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fanboys of Nintendo are turning us off at this point, but I'm sorry. It's just, I have a higher expectation.
Well, also the fact that it's like, it's not that we love the properties. I want more Mario. I want more Pokemon. I want more of all of this. I just wish that it got dragged kicking and screaming into a modern age. Because I feel like if they just took any Pokemon game and they're like, hey, so make it on a PS5 or something like that, it would be much better.
You want to know something that's really crazy?
Pal World.
No. Mario Kart 8 is 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. and
Yeah.
it's still $60.
And
Still
it
60.
still it still sells consistently well.
Yeah. I mean, props to them for that, but it'd be nice if they kind of did more with their properties instead of just.
Well, I mean, they won't make a new Mario Kart until Mario Kart 8 drops below the top 100 selling games of the year, which it does
Probably.
consistently.
It's just the 9 is always in development, but the second they get close to finishing, they cut funding and they just have one guy working on it.
Well, there's a joke. I'm trying to remember. I can't. Easy Allies podcast. They have a joke that as soon as Mario Kart 8 drops below the top 100 selling games of the year, then they're going to announce the Switch 2.
Is it close?
It jumps. It gets higher and lower. Like there was a couple months when they were reporting that it jumped to like the top 20. And it was just like, how does this keep selling games?
I think it's because parents buy their kids Switches for their birthdays or holidays, and then the kids realize that, oh, there's not actually that many games to play. So everybody ends up buying Mario Kart 8 at some point.
Yeah. That's why a lot of my animosity toward Nintendo is when I worked at GameStop during the peak era of the Wii, seeing how much shovelware was being made by that company. I actually want to look it up now and see how many Wii games made total. They made, while the Wii doesn't hold a candle to the Switch's impressive 5,000 games. That doesn't sound right.
Also, the Switch store is unfortunately a rat's nest. It's become like
1,600.
the deep parts of Steam. At least Steam, I'm able to do ignore lists, and it's able to like figure out the algorithm to recommend me things. Every time I go into the Switch store, it's just like, here's 36 things for 99 cents that were made in the back alley for $1.
So here's
Yeah,
a funny
there's-
thing. So, sorry.
There's 1,600 Wii games, and out of all of those, people can only name like 10 of the Nintendo AAAs. So the rest of the remaining, 1,500, 92 games were junk. That's why I have
Also, to give you an idea on the Mario Kart 8 thing. So this is as of the numbers are as of November, but so Mario Kart 8 has been out for 10 years, and it's still in only 2024 outsold every new first party game in 2024.
How is it still selling? Doesn't everybody own a copy of it at this point?
I don't know. It is Nintendo's top selling first party game in 2024.
What the fuck, man? I don't understand people.
So I have a couple runners up. My main runner up is when I was younger, my brother and I discovered this game series, and we stepped in on the third installment. And it was this kind of free roam beat 'em up game that we were able to play split screen together. And we were warned during a mission, do not pursue Lu Bu. And we thought back then of, we beat the pants off every other guy we've come across. Let's go pursue this Lu Bu guy. And it is life-changing. Because now it's like, no, I get it. Like, do not pursue Lu Bu. We had to like juggle him for like an hour. We had to like do all sorts of stuff to try to beat him eventually in like later games. But it's like the first time we came across it was just like, oh no, yeah, we're not prepared for this. Like we're good. That now it's just becomes this thing in all the later games of just do not pursue Lu Bu being almost a meme. So that is a memory that sticks with me as my gaming moment. Dynasty Warriors 3, best of the series. Although the Dynasty Warriors Origins comes out, I think, sometime in January. The demo is out right now for Steam and PS5, I think. And if you guys like the old Dynasty Warriors, it's fun.
What is what is the new one?
Dynasty Warriors Origins.
Oh, okay. So it is the same property.
Yep. Yeah, and it's kind of cool because you have your like bodyguard units that you used to have in the previous games where it's like, oh, you choose what weapon to give them and whatnot. But in the new one, they also get their own abilities and things. So as you're fighting, you can call out commands to your bodyguards. So it's like, okay, I'll run in and do this. You guys, like arrows, stay in the back and begin a volley on this location. So it feels more like you're commanding an army while you're going into battle.
Yeah, I mean that was also like Dynasty Warriors 3 was my first introduction to Musou games.
Yep.
Which was a genre I had never heard of.
And now I love.
Now suddenly you're dropped into this one-man army style gameplay, which was so unheard of with so many characters and enemies on screen and just mowing people down like with such a different and fun experience. That I remember playing that at your house for hours and hours and hours.
Oh yeah, and I remember it was confused my parents because they got us this game when we were kids, and then all of a sudden we're children that are discussing like the Shu Dynasty, and oh well, this was before the rise of the Han Dynasty, and during the Yellow Turban Rebellion, and it's like all of this like I don't know factually any of it is accurate, but it's like as far as the games portrayed this to me. This is the history. This is all of Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
That is funny, though.
It's like committing the first 151 Pokemon to memory. I remember all the characters that I played in Dynasty Warriors 3.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you just start to memorize the names of all of these ancient Chinese generals. And it's just I know.
And then you find out in real life that it's like, no, he didn't use 2 giant claw hands. No, he didn't use a giant iron ball on a chain. It's like, oh wait, so they all use just swords? So that is Dynasty Warriors 3. I will mention 2 quick ones. Final Fantasy VII. What was that?
Clock's ticking.
Well, you guys spent an awful lot of time talking about other bullshit. So Final Fantasy VII, get into the world map for the first time. Never playing a Final Fantasy game until I played 7 as my first entry. And you're getting through the entire like first section of the game for like a couple hours, and then getting to this cutscene where you make it out of the city, and all of a sudden it just opens up to a world map. Blew my mind as a kid of like, oh wait a second, like that's not the end of the game. I've only just now hit the point where the game gets so much bigger and there's so much more still left to do that it's still wild to me to think of not getting an overworld map until that moment in time.
There was a kid in middle school that let me borrow Final Fantasy VII because he's like, you don't have this, you need to play this. But he only let me borrow it for like a day. So by the time I got to the world map, I was impressed, but it's like, that's a 200-hour game. And the kid only let me play it for like not even one, because after the first day, he's like, I need it back. I don't blame him.
Why did you need it back, David?
Oh, I wasn't David.
I was like, I missed something. I was looking up something about Dynasty Warriors.
David and I were arch enemies in middle school.
That's true.
Yeah.
How you made up?
The last thing I will mention is Halo and Halo Reach. The end of Halo Reach is a great gaming moment. That's not like personally, it's just in general, it's a great gaming moment. The last stand on the planet. But also Halo, the last level, the horse you rode in on, when now that everything is done and exploding, and you have that timer, and it's just you get in the Warthog, and you're just tearing through the level to get back out at the very end, was a great experience to the point where Nick brought his Xbox over and showed me this cool new game called Halo, and then I needed to go get an Xbox so I can play this myself.
Hello.
That's the one, yeah.
Starring John Halo.
I feel the Halo 1 was the last time where you just knew playing it for that first time, like, this is different.
Yeah.
And this is world breaking, and this is literally changing the playing field with a video game like that.
My parents let me take a day off from school for the release of Halo 2. Like, it's such a giant cultural thing, and after watching us play the first Halo, it's like, well, no, of course, yeah, like it's a pre-ordered game. We'll pick it up and then go home and play Halo 2.
Back when you can just put the disc in and just play instead of like, all right, now it's got to download 50 gigs. Sorry, that's the old man in me talking.
Those were the days.
So I miss all of those games and all of those gaming moments, but many more are sure to come.
I was going to say, Nick, though, that my least favorite about the new thing is, or you could pay an extra $20 and play it a day early.
Oh, God, yeah.
That concludes our episode of Most Memorable, hands down, can't change it, best video game moments of all time. If you didn't know, liking and subscribing really helps the channel out. If you like what you've heard, please write a review or leave a rating and subscribe to us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts and really help us out. You can still find us on Instagram at Screen Refresh and smash that like and subscribe button on YouTube at the Screen Refresh Network, or shoot us an email at screenrefresh@gmail.com so we can hear what your top 3 choices would have been, or suggest to us other topics we can make an episode on. So for Nick, Tim, David, this is Dean asking you take care of yourself, and catch us next on Rule of Thirds, airing every third Monday of the month, and also our sister podcast, Don't Open This Podcast, every second and fourth Monday of the month. The end. Cut it. Fuck it.